Hey guys, SarahAnsboury coming to you today, my home base in Vancouver, Washington. We are going to talk a little bit about how to move today, some tips and some exercises you can do. What you see in the more pro and the more advanced pickleball when we're playing, we move a lot. There's a lot of physicality. There's a lot of power and strength that are coming to it. It's a lot of hard work. The more that I'm on the court, the more I really want to work on getting better. Faster. The court is so small. When you shift and you change directions, any little bit helps get a little bit faster and better. So I'm going to show you a couple things that we talk about. We're going to talk some split steps. We're going to talk about kind of how to move a little bit of weight transfer. Things that you can do at home anytime with someone or by yourself. If we're going into footwork, one of my favorite things, the fitness and the athletics of things, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. So I'm trying to keep it short with a few basic things that you can do very easily by yourself or with a partner. Okay? What we're doing here is this is a good warm-up drill. This is really good for warming up before a game if you're used to this. But the other thing this is really good for is practicing your movement, going sideways while thinking, okay, which is how we want to move on that chicken line so we don't cross in as often as we don't have to. Now, what you see is, the more advanced player you are, well, usually the better footwork you have, the more control you have of that stuff. But if you don't have the experience or you're not really sure what to do with your feet, this is a really good drill to practice. Okay? And basically, what you're really doing here is, I'm really breathing nice and evenly. I'm trying to keep an even tempo. And that tempo is, where I'm in control, where I don't feel like I have to overdo it or underdo it. I want to feel loose as much as I can. And I'm on the balls of my feet so that it's easy to shift and move. Okay? And what I mean by shifting is that when I change direction or when I'm going to hit that ball, what I do is I shift my weight onto this leg. So I'm hitting it backhand. I'm usually trying to shift onto my left leg. Forehand, I'm putting it onto my right leg. So I'm using my body weight to give me extra power, extra control. Okay? And I also absorb that thinking, okay, so I can get under the ball. Now, if I get too close to the ball, sometimes I'm actually going to shift away the opposite way to try to create space so I can hit the ball so I don't get too crowded. We talked about space on dinking, how important that is to keep it out in front in that neutral zone. The other thing you'll notice is I'm not hunched over. Okay, I'm trying to keep, my weight a little bit back and loose. Okay, when you hunch over, you really open yourself up to lobs. Okay, it's a good time to lob when someone's hunched over when they're dinking. Okay, so then also I'm really isolating my quads and my butt. Okay, and what I'm trying to think of is also having my neck nice and long. Try to think about that. So my shoulders are away from my neck. We have a tendency to get tight and hunch our shoulders when we do that. So we really want to stay that loose and down, so I keep my paddle down. This is a great way to work on playing on the balls of your feet, which is super tough. It's a lot of fitness, but what you'll hear from me, I'm really big into that fitness and that movement part. Pickleball can be so fast. So anything like this will help you get to that ball a little bit quicker. That's what we like, I do this all day. I love this. And every time I'm shifting directions, I'm using my body weight. I'm not shifting with my upper body. I'm shifting with my lower body to change direction. And I'm breathing. I keep breathing as much as I can. I want to hold my breath. A lot of people hold their breath when they're dinking, and then they get tight. So this is a really great way to practice breathing too. And it's a workout, I will tell you. But the more that you can move and control, the more you can use your body. You know, you get more consistency, higher percentage pickleball. And also, the more you get to use your body, the easier it is to create space for when you do want to attack that ball, okay, or get that range of motion. So if I'm able to shift my weight, you know, with that ball or somewhere, I get a little extra room so I can drive through that when I want to drive through that. You know, so it's not just any ball where I'm, you know, flicking or hitting it, but really the more that you utilize your body and that movement, it is easier to have a higher percentage of dinking, volleys, offensive shots, any of those things, you know, it makes that consistency so much higher. So this is a really easy drill that you can work on to do that. And we're going to talk about a few other movement things.
Okay, right now we're going to talk a little bit more about moving. We're going to talk about the split step and weight transfer, shifting our weight. First, we're going to say, what is a split step? I have a lot of people, if you don't come from tennis, they ask, okay, what is that? Why do we do it? Well, what a split step, you know, essentially does is it gets you in that ready position. You know, especially if I'm moving forward, what I'm doing is I'm actually taking these small steps and then I'm doing a kind of a little jump step where I'm getting on the balls of my feet, so I'm really engaging my legs. And from here, what I can do is I can shift directions. You know, I can push off. If I'm going to my right, I'm going to push the weight off of my left foot and accelerate forward. You know, or if I'm going to my left, I'm going to push my weight off from my right foot and accelerate forward again. You know, or what happens a lot too is if, okay, I'm going to see that overhead coming. We've talked about the overhead before. When I split step, oh, I see that ball's coming up. Well, what I'm going to do instead of pushing off, I'm actually going to push my weight down on my left leg. That's going to help me pivot backwards onto my right foot so I can get this behind and then shift forward again. That enables me to move backwards properly. Okay? So I'm able to push, accelerate, and now I'm going to move, and I'm taking the steps as I move too. I try not to slide. You know, I really would like to take these little cross steps as much as I can. I always want to remember I got to pick up my feet. So as I'm moving forward, if I'm not all the way into the net, when my opponent touches the ball, anyone who touches the ball, that's when I split step, okay? Because then I can react to where the ball's coming to. If I'm still running forward as my opponent's hitting the ball, I'm going to have trouble running and reacting and adjusting where the ball's going. That split step really helps. So I just practice going up and forward and shifting my weight. You can just do this on your own with your paddle and do shadow strokes very easily. It's super important coming towards the net, you know. As soon as I see that, get my split step, shift my weight. I'm going to go to a volley this way, or I'm going to step backwards and go back, or same thing if I'm going to run down. If I see the lobs going to the other side of the court and I can't take an overhead, but I have to run it down, well, my split step enables me to push my weight again off of my outside leg and go the other direction so I can get to a ball quicker, okay? So that really engages my legs. The other thing that I really want to say is that when you're moving forward, you really want to keep that weight going into the ball by using your lower body, okay? What happens a lot is this upper body engagement. You know, we don't just want to step forward if we're hitting that ball in that third shot and just get that weight through. What I'm actually doing is a 3-step process, okay? I'm getting my back foot, then transferring to my front foot, then swinging through the ball. When I do that, I actually engage my legs and get under and lift. If I kind of just step forward with my front foot and go into it, well, that jars the ball. It's harder to get under. These are all footwork things that we don't really talk about enough, but they're really important. This is very few out of very, very many things to talk about in the footwork. What is super important is to just practice these things, you know, in little motions, mimic them. You know, I do things where I start from the back line and I'm just pushing forward, and then I get up to the line, I split step, and then I turn and I run back. You know, I just get that to practice the speed and the quickness. You know, the more involved you are with your footwork and getting your body, it all comes down to, you know, better pickleball, you know, higher percentages, those types of things. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's video about movement. If you have any questions, there's an email down below, reply down below. Please subscribe. If you want more information, let us know. You can find us lots of places now. We've got Instagram, Facebook, all those links are down below. Good luck with these things. Please let me know if you have any questions, okay? Bye, guys.